The text message arrives at 2 in the afternoon. I'm standing in my kitchen, surrounded by 3 days of my daughter Sophie's cooking, when my father's message lights up my phone. We've decided to celebrate at a restaurant. It's adults only. Sophie is upstairs, about to put on the navy dress she bought specially. I stare at the dining table set for 18 people, the homemade centerpiece, the place cards Sophie hand-lettered. In 6 hours, nobody is coming. My hands shake as I type a response. Delete it, type again. Then I make a decision. I have to go upstairs and tell Sophie what happened. Each step feels heavier than the last. I find her in her room, standing in front of her mirror, curling her hair with the iron she saved up to buy last month. She's wearing the navy dress, the one we found on sale at Target. She looks beautiful and nervous, and so full of hope that my heart breaks before I even open my mouth. Sophie, honey, I need to talk to you about tonight. She turns, and her smile is so bright. Mom, do you think Grandma will like the pot roast? I followed her recipe exactly, but I added a little extra time because I remember she mentioned that once when I was 12. I sit on her bed. Come here, sweetheart. She knows immediately. Her smile fades. She sets down the curling iron and sits next to me, and I show her the text message. I watch her face crumble, watch the light go out of her eyes, and I want to scream. Sophie spent 3 full days cooking for this party. 3 entire days. Thursday after school, she came home and started with the pot roast, because she knew it needed the longest time. 8 hours of cooking, with a red wine reduction she researched online. She made the grocery run herself, with money from her part-time job bagging groceries at Morrison's Market. $237 of her own savings went into these recipes. Friday, she was up at 5 in the morning before school to make the Parker House rolls from scratch. She made the dough twice because the first batch didn't rise properly, and she refused to serve anything less than perfect. After school, she came home and dove straight into the salads, 3 different kinds. The Waldorf alone took 2 hours, because she hand-candied the walnuts, stirring sugar over the stove, with the patience of someone twice her age. Saturday, today, she finished everything else. The scalloped potatoes, with Gruyere cheese, sliced paper-thin by hand because our mandolin broke last year, and we haven't been able to replace it. The green bean almondine, blanched and shocked in ice water to keep them bright green. 2 pies, apple and cherry, my mother's favorites, with lattice crusts that took Sophie 45 minutes each to weave. And the cake. God, the cake. A 3-layer chocolate cake, with buttercream frosting. Sophie had watched tutorial videos, practiced piping techniques on parchment paper. The cake sat in our fridge, perfect and beautiful, decorated with delicate rosettes. She did all of this because she loves her grandmother. Because once upon a time, when Sophie was little, my mother used to bake with her. Those were the only times Mom ever seemed truly warm to us, when she was teaching Sophie how to cream butter and sugar, how to fold in egg whites, how to test a cake for doneness. Those afternoons in my mother's pristine kitchen were golden moments in an otherwise cold relationship. Sophie wanted to give that feeling back. She wanted to show my mother that she'd learned, that she'd grown, that she was worthy of love and pride. Adults only, Sophie whispers, staring at the phone. I'm 17. I'm almost an adult. I know, baby. Why would they do this? Why would Grandpa wait until now to tell us? I don't have an answer that won't hurt her more. Because the truth is ugly. The truth is that my parents have always treated me like I'm less than my brother Daniel and my sister Patricia. Daniel's a successful real estate developer with a big house in the suburbs and a boat he takes out on Lake Michigan. Patricia married a cardiologist and lives in a neighborhood where the houses have circular driveways and 3-car garages. I'm a 7th-grade English teacher at Lincoln Middle School. I make $43,000 a year before taxes. I'm a single mother, living in a modest 2-bedroom apartment because that's what I can afford. My husband Trevor died 4 years ago from pancreatic cancer, and the medical bills nearly destroyed us even with insurance. My parents came to the hospital once when Trevor was dying. Once. They stayed 20 minutes, looked uncomfortable the entire time, and left. When he died, they sent flowers and came to the funeral, but they didn't help. Not with money, not with support, not with anything. 2 months after Trevor's death, when I was drowning in bills and grief, struggling to keep our heads above water, my parents bought Daniel a boat. A 40-foot yacht he named Fortune's Favor. They forgot Sophie's 16th birthday entirely. Not a card, not a call, nothing. When I mentioned it later, my mother said, "Oh, we've just been so busy with Patricia's remodel, and now this." Now they've let Sophie cook for 3 days, spend her hard-earned money, pour her heart into making this party perfect, and they've canceled 6 hours before it starts with a text message that says, "Adults only." Sophie is crying now, quiet tears running down her face, ruining the makeup she carefully applied. I should have known. I should have known I wasn't good enough. Don't say that. Don't you dare say that. It's true though, isn't it? They're embarrassed by me. They're embarrassed by us. I want to lie to her. But she's 17, and she's smart, and she deserves the truth. I think they're small people who don't know how to value what really matters. She wipes her face, smearing mascara. What do we do with all the food? I look at her, really look at her, and I see a young woman who's been taught her entire life that she's not enough, that she has to earn love, and even when she does everything right, it still won't be given to her. And something inside me snaps. "We're going to take pictures of everything you made," I say. "Every single dish. We're going to document this." Why? Because I'm done letting them make you feel small. I grab my phone, and I start photographing. Every dish, from every angle. The pot roast in its serving platter, the meat falling apart tender, the sauce glossy and perfect, the rolls, golden brown, arranged in my grandmother's wicker basket, the 3 salads in their bowls, the scalloped potatoes, layers visible where I cut into them for the photo, the green beans, both pies, the cake. I photograph the dining table, set for 18 with our mismatched plates, and the cloth napkins I ironed this morning. The centerpiece Sophie made from flowers we picked up at Trader Joe's, arranged in a mason jar she painted gold. The place cards, each one lettered in Sophie's careful handwriting with everyone's names. I photographed Sophie's planning notebooks, pages full of recipes and shopping lists and timing schedules. I photographed the grocery receipts, $237 in highlighted yellow. Then I sit down at our kitchen table and I write a Facebook post. Sophie watches me, her eyes red and puffy. I write, "My daughter Sophie spent 3 days cooking for 18 family members for my mother's 75th birthday party. She used her own money from her part-time job. She researched recipes, planned every detail, and poured her heart into making this celebration perfect." 6 hours before the party was supposed to start, my father sent a text message. "We've decided to celebrate at a restaurant. It's adults only. Sophie is 17 years old. She made a pot roast that took 8 hours. She hand-lettered place cards. She baked 2 pies and a 3-layer cake. She was so excited to celebrate her grandmother. Instead, she's upstairs crying, in the dress she bought specially for tonight. This is what we're left with. A table set for 18 people who aren't coming." I attach all the photos. I tag my parents, Daniel, Patricia, all the aunts and uncles and cousins who were invited. My finger hovers over the post button. "Are you sure?" Sophie asks. "Are you?" She nods. "Do it." I hit post. Within 30 minutes, the post has 50 shares. Within an hour, 300. Friends are commenting with outrage. "This is horrible. Your daughter is amazing. What kind of grandparents do this?" The comments multiply, and each notification makes my phone buzz. Friends of friends start sharing it. 2 hours in, people I don't even know are commenting. I saw this shared by someone who knows someone, and I just have to say, your parents should be ashamed. The shares keep climbing. 500, 800, 1,000. By evening, local mommy bloggers have picked it up. They write their own posts about family dynamics and toxic grandparents, linking back to mine. Someone creates a hashtag. The shares accelerate. 2,000, 3,000. News outlet Facebook pages start commenting. "We'd love to share your story." Sophie and I sit on the couch, watching it happen in real time. Phones buzzing constantly. By 10 at night, we've hit 5,000 shares. National parenting websites are writing articles. Teen excluded from adults-only birthday, after cooking for 3 days. The story is going viral, spreading faster than I ever imagined possible. By midnight, we're at 10,000 shares and climbing. News producers are sending me private messages asking for interviews. Sophie's phone is buzzing too, her friends sending her links and messages of support. I lie in bed, phone lighting up every few seconds, and I realize this is way bigger than I expected. I'm not sure if I'm relieved or terrified. The next morning, I wake to 15,000 shares. National news websites have picked up the story. Headlines are everywhere. Grandmother ditches, family party after granddaughter's labor of love. Viral post exposes cruel adults-only birthday snub. Morning talk shows are discussing it. People I've never met are sending me messages of support. My phone rings at 7 in the morning. It's my father, and his voice is something I've never heard before. Pure rage. "What the hell have you done?" he screams. "Do you have any idea what you've done to us? Your mother and I can't leave the house. We have reporters calling us. Our neighbors are talking. You've embarrassed us in front of the entire town, the entire country. How dare you air family business publicly?" I try to respond, but he keeps going. "Your mother is devastated. This was supposed to be her special birthday weekend. And you've ruined it. You've turned her into a villain on the internet. People are saying horrible things about us. All because you couldn't handle a simple change of plans like an adult. Dad, you canceled 6 hours before the party. Sophie spent 3 days. We don't owe you an explanation for our decisions. We're the parents. We wanted a quiet dinner. And instead you've turned this into a circus. I'm ashamed of you." He hangs up. My hands are shaking. In 35 years, my father has never spoken to me that way. Cold, yes. Dismissive, certainly. But this fury is new and terrifying. 10 minutes later, my mother texts, "I can't believe you would do this to me on my birthday weekend. You've always been jealous of your brother and sister, and now you're trying to hurt me to make yourself feel better. This is so typical of you. Everything always has to be about you." No acknowledgement of Sophie. No apology for what they did. Just anger that I exposed it. Then Daniel calls. I don't answer, so he texts. A long text, paragraphs of anger. "You're selfish. You're attention-seeking. You're a bad mother for dragging Sophie into this public drama. You're vindictive and bitter, and you've always been jealous that Pat and I are successful. Now you're punishing Mom and Dad because you can't handle that we have better lives than you. Grow up." Patricia's text comes next. "You're just mad because you're poor and we're not. You've always resented us for doing well. Mom and Dad wanted a nice dinner without having to worry about accommodating everyone, and you turned it into this huge drama. You need therapy." Both of them are commenting on the Facebook post too, adding their narrative. "Our sister has always been difficult and dramatic. She's struggled since her husband passed and hasn't been herself. This post is an example of her need for attention and validation. Our parents simply wanted a quiet dinner due to health concerns." The narrative is shifting. My parents make their own Facebook post, suddenly experts at social media. "We are heartbroken by the false accusations from our daughter. We simply wanted a quiet dinner due to health concerns, and didn't want to burden the family with our limitations. Sophie volunteered to cook without being asked. And we're grateful, but we never requested such an elaborate meal. We're elderly parents being viciously attacked online by thousands of strangers because of our daughter's need for attention. Our daughter has struggled with mental health issues since her husband's tragic death, and we hope she gets the help she needs." That last line makes my blood run cold. "They're calling me unstable." Sophie reads the comments from our extended family. Cousins I haven't spoken to in years are suddenly very invested. "Jody has always been like this, making mountains out of molehills. She's jealous of Daniel and Patricia's success. Her parents are elderly and don't deserve this harassment." While most comments are still supportive, the family members are loud and united. Sophie reads every cruel word, and I watch her face close up again, the brief hope from last night fading. A local news station reaches out. "We'd love to interview you and Sophie. Let people hear your side. I think telling our full story will help, so I agree." That afternoon, a reporter and cameraman come to our apartment. We do a brief interview. Sophie explains the 3 days of cooking, shows them the recipes. I talk about the family dynamics, the years of being made to feel less than. We show them the food, some still in our fridge, starting to go bad because we can't eat all of it. The interview airs that evening, on the 6 o'clock news. My principal, Mrs. Anderson, calls me at 7:30 the next morning. Jody, I need you to come to my office immediately. I arrived to find her and the vice principal, Mrs. Thompson, waiting with serious expressions. Several parents have called the school board. They're concerned about the negative publicity. They question my judgment in making a private family matter public. They worry about my stability to teach middle school children. The superintendent wants you on administrative leave pending an investigation, Mrs. Anderson says, not meeting my eyes. Investigation into what? Your conduct and whether it meets our professional standards for staff. I defended my daughter from cruelty. That's unprofessional? You aired private matters publicly, and it's reflecting on the school. Parents are uncomfortable. We need to investigate. Mrs. Thompson's voice is cool, detached. I'm being put on leave. Effective immediately. My classes will be covered by substitutes. I must leave the building. I walk out past staring colleagues, some sympathetic, most avoiding eye contact. I've taught at Lincoln Middle School for 11 years, and now I'm being escorted out like I've done something wrong. Administrative leave means I'm still paid, but for how long? I'm a single mother surviving on a teacher's salary. $43,000 a year before taxes. Trevor's death left us with medical debt despite insurance. His treatment cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and our portion was still devastating. We're still paying it off. $150 a month to the hospital billing department. I have $847 in savings. Rent is $1,200 a month for our small 2-bedroom apartment. Car payment is $263. Insurance, groceries, utilities. We were already living paycheck to paycheck, carefully budgeting every dollar. Now I don't know if I'll have a job next month. A formal letter arrives from the school board outlining the investigation. Someone sent them a detailed complaint with screenshots of my Facebook post. The complaint claims my post shows poor judgment and emotional instability and questions my ability to maintain professional boundaries and model appropriate conflict resolution for students. I read it 3 times, trying to understand. Then I realized this wasn't random parents complaining. Someone orchestrated this. Someone who knew exactly what to say to make the school board nervous. My parents have hired a public relations consultant. Suddenly, sympathetic stories about them appear online. A local news station interviews them in their living room. My mother cries on camera, dabbing her eyes with tissues. I just wanted a quiet 75th birthday with a few close friends. I never imagined my daughter would attack us this way. We love Jody, but she hasn't been herself since losing Trevor. We're worried about her. My father looks directly at the camera. We're just heartbroken. We tried to accommodate everyone, but we have health limitations. We're elderly. This online harassment has been devastating. They look fragile and sympathetic. The interviewer is gentle with them. The comments on the news station's Facebook page shift. Those poor elderly parents. The daughter seems unhinged. Family drama should stay private. Sophie reads the new comments during breakfast. She's stopped going to school. She called in sick Monday, sick again Tuesday. Now it's Wednesday and she still hasn't gone back. She sits in her pajamas, scrolling through her phone, reading every comment. Mom, people are saying you're crazy. I know, honey. They're saying I should be taken away from you. That makes me look up sharply. What? She shows me comments. This woman is clearly unstable. Someone should check on that poor girl. The daughter is safer without this toxic mother. CPS should investigate. At Roosevelt High School, Sophie's classmates have seen everything. Some are supportive, texting her encouragement. But others are cruel, in the way only teenagers can be. Someone wrote attention seeker on her locker in permanent marker. A boy she had a crush on, Tyler something, posted on his Instagram. Crazy runs in families. Girls whisper when they see her in the hallways. She started hiding in the library during lunch because the cafeteria felt like enemy territory. Then I discover what Daniel has been doing. A friend mentions casually that her husband works with someone who knows Daniel, and Daniel has been making calls. He called Principal Anderson before the investigation started. He presented himself as a concerned brother worried about his sister's mental state. He suggested I might be having a breakdown and that children might not be safe in my classroom. I call him. He answers cheerfully. Hello, Jody. Did you call my principal? I called because I'm concerned about you. You're clearly not stable right now, and you're around children every day. Someone needed to say something. You're trying to get me fired. I'm trying to protect kids from a teacher who's shown incredibly poor judgment. You put our elderly parents on blast online. You're vindictive and unstable. The school needed to know. He's not even pretending. He's proud of it. Patricia has been busy too. She called my landlord, Mr. Hayes, suggesting there's been a disturbance at the property and that I might not be a reliable tenant going forward. Mr. Hayes mentioned it nervously when I paid rent, asking if everything was okay and reminding me that the lease requires peaceful enjoyment of the property. They're coordinating an attack on every aspect of my life, my job, my housing, my reputation. And they're doing it systematically. Sophie hasn't showered in 2 days. She lies in bed, curtains closed, only getting up to use the bathroom. She won't eat. I brought her toast this morning, and she took 1 bite, then pushed the plate away. I'm terrified for her mental health. I want to get her into therapy, but our insurance has a high deductible. We haven't hit it yet this year. Therapy would be $120 per session out of pocket, and I don't have $120. I consider giving up. I sit on the couch and think about calling my parents, apologizing, making it all stop. Maybe I could say I was emotional and I'm sorry. Maybe they'd call off Daniel and Patricia. Maybe the school board would reinstate me. Maybe Sophie could go back to school without harassment. But then I see Sophie's notebooks still on the kitchen counter. Pages of careful planning, recipes copied in her neat handwriting, shopping lists with prices calculated to the penny. I see the navy dress hanging in her closet, tags still attached because she never got to wear it to the party. I can't let Sophie learn that bullies win when you stand up to them. A courier arrives with a certified letter. It's thick, official. I sign for it with a sense of dread. The letter is from Whitmore and Associates, attorneys at law. 10 pages of legal language that basically says my parents are filing for a restraining order against me. They claim I've been harassing and defaming them. They claim my Facebook post and subsequent media interviews constitute harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They claim my mother has suffered severe emotional distress, requiring medical treatment, and they have doctor's bills to prove it. They demand that I immediately take down the Facebook post, issue a public apology, and pay $15,000 for their medical expenses and emotional damages. If I don't comply within 10 business days, they'll sue for more. The court date for the restraining order hearing is in 1 week. I sit on the kitchen floor holding the letter, and for the first time through all of this, I break down completely. Sophie finds me crying, and she cries too, and we sit there together on the kitchen floor surrounded by legal papers I can't afford to fight. I call 5 lawyers. The consultations alone are $200 to $300. Actual representation would be $3,000 to $5,000 minimum. I have $847 in savings. I apply for legal aid, but there's a waiting list. The earliest appointment is in 3 weeks. My court date is in 6 days. Sophie has stopped functioning. She won't leave her room except to use the bathroom. She's barely eating. When I bring her food, she takes a few bites to appease me, then pushes it away. She lies in bed in the dark, curtains drawn even during the day. I make an appointment with the school counselor, but Sophie refuses to go. What's the point? She asks, her voice flat. Everyone thinks we're crazy anyway. My friend Amanda stops answering my texts. We've been friends since college, but now she's gone silent. Another friend, Rachel, actually calls me. Jody, I think you should apologize to your parents, she says. This has gone too far. Your mom's in the hospital now. She's not in the hospital. That's what I heard. Look, I care about you, but this drama is too much. Maybe you did overreact. They excluded my daughter after she cooked for 3 days. I know, but did you have to make it so public? There are better ways to handle family issues. I realize Rachel is repeating the narrative my family has spread. She hangs up saying she hopes I figure things out, but she doesn't call again. People are uncomfortable with mess, with conflict, with anything that requires them to take a side. Nobody wants to be associated with drama. I spend 3 nights researching restraining orders, reading legal forums, trying to understand what I'm facing. I print out evidence, text messages, timelines, receipts from Sophie's groceries. I write a statement explaining our side. My eyes burn from staring at the computer screen. I'm terrified but determined. The court hearing is on a Thursday morning. Family court, a small room with fluorescent lights that make everything look sickly and gray. My parents arrive with their attorney, Jackson Whitmore himself. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than my monthly rent. He looks polished and confident, carrying a leather briefcase. My parents look frail and sad. My mother is wearing a simple dress and minimal makeup, her hair styled to look soft and grandmotherly. My father holds her arm like she might collapse. They're performing for the judge, and they're good at it. Judge Brennan is a woman in her 60s with gray hair and a stern expression. She sits behind the bench and calls the case. My parents' attorney stands and presents their case with smooth professionalism. He shows screenshots of my Facebook post, blown up large so the judge can see every word. He shows screenshots of responses where I engaged with commenters, which he claims is evidence of ongoing harassment. He submits a doctor's note saying my mother has anxiety and elevated blood pressure requiring medication. He submits receipts for medical visits totaling $850. Daniel and Patricia have submitted written statements. Jackson Whitmore reads excerpts. My sister has shown increasingly erratic behavior since her husband's death. She's fixated on perceived slights and has become vindictive toward our parents. We're concerned for her stability and worried about our niece Sophie being exposed to this level of conflict. He presents old text messages from years ago where I vented frustration about family issues. Out of context, they sound bitter and angry. He presents old Facebook posts where I complained about stress or made sarcastic comments about holidays with family. He's building a narrative. I'm unstable, I've always been difficult, and now I've escalated to public harassment. Then it's my turn. I don't have a lawyer, so I stand alone. I present my timeline. I show the text message from my father canceling 6 hours before the party. I explain Sophie's 3 days of cooking. I show the receipts for the groceries she bought with her own money. I'm articulate, but I'm emotional. My voice shakes. I can feel myself getting worked up, and I know it's not helping. The judge watches me with an unreadable expression. Your Honor, my parents have a pattern of treating my daughter and me as less than. They've excluded us, dismissed us, and hurt us repeatedly. When they excluded Sophie after all her work, I shared what happened. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I just told the truth. Judge Brennan listens, but she seems skeptical. Miss Parker, regardless of your grievances with your parents, do you think it was appropriate to air family matters on social media? I thought people should know what they did. Family disagreements should be handled privately, not in a public forum. You've caused your parents significant distress. They caused my daughter significant distress. That doesn't justify your response. The hearing lasts 45 minutes. Judge Brennan takes 10 minutes to make her decision. She grants a temporary restraining order. I cannot contact my parents in any way. I cannot come within 500 feet of them. I must remove the Facebook post within 24 hours. A full hearing will be scheduled in 30 days to determine if the order should be made permanent. Judge Brennan looks at me sternly. Miss Parker, there are appropriate ways to handle family conflict. This was not one of them. You need to seriously consider how your actions affect not just your parents, but your daughter as well. Use this time to reflect on better conflict resolution strategies. I walk out of the courtroom feeling like I've been punched in the stomach. My parents look satisfied. Daniel is waiting outside the courtroom. As I walk past, he leans in and whispers so only I can hear. You're done. We're going to take everything. He smirks, and Patricia is next to him, looking at me with something like pity mixed with contempt. She doesn't say anything, just shakes her head and walks away. I drive home in a daze. I sit in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes, unable to make myself go inside and face Sophie. When I finally do, she's on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, looking at me hopefully. How did it go? I have to tell her we lost. I have to tell her the judge sided with them. I have to watch hope die in her eyes again. They won, I say, and my voice breaks. Sophie doesn't cry. She just nods and goes back to her room. There's a knock on the door. An hour later. I open it to find a woman in her 40s, professional looking with a clipboard and an ID badge on a lanyard. Jody Parker? Yes? I'm Brenda Harris, from Child Protective Services. Someone has filed a report regarding your daughter Sophie. May I come in? The world tilts. I step aside, numb, and let her in. Brenda explains that they received an anonymous report. The report claims Sophie is living in an unstable and potentially harmful home environment. It cites my mental health issues, the public-family conflict, Sophie's observable distress, and concerns about my judgment and stability. I need to conduct a home inspection and interview Sophie, Brenda says. It's standard procedure when we receive a report. She walks through our small apartment, taking notes. The apartment is clean, modest, yes, with furniture that's seen better days, but clean and maintained. She checks the refrigerator, the bedrooms, the bathrooms. She asks about our routines, our finances, Sophie's school attendance. Then she asks to speak with Sophie privately. They go into Sophie's room and close the door. I stand in the hallway, terrified. 45 minutes pass before the door opens. Brenda's expression is neutral. The home seems adequate. Sophie appears well cared for physically. However, given the allegations in the report and the obvious stress in this household, I'm keeping the case open for 60 days. We'll need to follow up. Sophie will be interviewed again at her school by another investigator to ensure she's comfortable speaking freely. Someone made a false report to hurt me, I say. We have to investigate every report. I'll be in touch. She leaves, and I close the door and lean against it. Sophie is standing in her bedroom doorway, pale and shaking. They're trying to take me away from you, she whispers. No, baby, they won't. We haven't done anything wrong, but I'm not sure I believe it anymore. My family has shown they'll do anything to punish me for speaking up. 2 days later, Sophie is pulled from her chemistry class. She's taken to a small office near the principal's suite, where a CPS investigator interviews her for an hour. Other students see her being pulled from class. By lunchtime, rumors are everywhere. Sophie's mom is getting investigated by CPS. They might take Sophie away. I heard the mom is crazy. Sophie comes home and goes straight to her room. She doesn't come out for dinner. She doesn't come out at all. The next morning, she refuses to get up for school. She lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, and when I try to talk to her, she doesn't respond. I call the school and tell them Sophie is sick. Principal Anderson at Roosevelt High asks if everything is okay at home. The question is loaded, and I know why she's asking. We're fine, I lie. Principal Anderson from Lincoln Middle School calls me that afternoon. The school board has completed their investigation. They're recommending my contract not be renewed. I'll finish the year on administrative leave, then be let go in June. 23 years of teaching, I say, my voice hollow. 11 with us, she corrects. I'm sorry, Jody, but the board feels this situation has created too much controversy. Parents are uncomfortable. The superintendent thinks it's best for everyone if we part ways. Can I appeal? You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. The board has made up their mind. Fighting it will only make it harder for you to find another position elsewhere. She's telling me to go quietly. Rent is due in 5 days. I have $320 in my account. I haven't been to the grocery store in 2 weeks. We're eating rice, canned soup, ramen noodles. I apply for unemployment benefits in case the administrative leave ends before June. I look for new teaching jobs. But who will hire me with this scandal attached to my name? I consider selling my car, but I need it to get to any job I might find. I look at my pathetic savings, my dwindling options, and I feel like I'm drowning. The food Sophie made is long gone. I had to throw it all out after a week. Bags and bags of wasted food. The pot roast that took 8 hours, the handmade rolls, the pies, and the beautiful cake. All of it in the trash. Sophie's $237, her 3 days of work, gone. The waste feels like a metaphor for everything. I sit Sophie down one evening. She's been in her room for 3 days straight, only coming out to use the bathroom. She's lost weight. Her eyes are hollow. Sophie, maybe I should apologize. Make it all stop. She looks at me with those empty eyes. Do what you want, Mom. Nothing matters anyway. That scares me more than anything else that's happened. The flatness in her voice, the emptiness. I've lost my job, my reputation, my savings, but I cannot lose my daughter. But I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make it stop. It's a Friday night, 11:45. I'm lying on my bed in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Sophie finally fell asleep an hour ago. The apartment is silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and occasional traffic noise from the street. Then, bang 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 bang, someone is pounding on the front door. The whole door shakes with the force of it. My heart jumps into my throat. Bang 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 bang. Open the door! A woman's voice, loud and urgent. I freeze. Who is it? Is it Daniel? My father? Are they here to threaten me? Are they here to hurt us? Bang 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 bang. Sophie runs into my room, terrified. Mom, what's happening? I grab my phone and dial 911. My hands are shaking so badly I almost drop it. 911. What's your emergency? There's someone pounding on my door. I don't know who it is. I'm scared. Stay on the line. Officers are on their way. Bang 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 bang. Please, the woman shouts. We need to talk to you. We're here to help. The voice sounds genuine, but after everything, I don't trust anything. Sophie is pressed against me, both of us shaking. Bang 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 bang. Ma'am, are they still there? The dispatcher asks. Yes. They keep pounding. Officers are 2 minutes out. With the dispatcher still on the line, I approach the door. My legs feel like water. I look through the peephole with my heart hammering. There's a woman I've never seen before, mid-40s, professional looking with dark hair pulled back. Behind her are at least 10 other people crowded in the hallway. Some have cameras. One has a laptop bag. They don't look threatening, but I'm still terrified. The woman holds up a business card to the peephole. I can barely make it out. Sarah Martinez, attorney at law, family law, and defamation. Jody, the woman says loudly but not unkindly. My name is Sarah Martinez. I'm an attorney. I saw your story. These people are reporters from national news outlets and advocates from 2 different organizations. We know what your family is doing to you. It's called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It's a tactic abusers use to silence their victims. We've been investigating your parents. We're here to help you fight back. Please let us in. We have information you need to see. I stand there, hand on the doorknob, trying to process. Sophie is next to me, looking at me with wide, scared eyes. The dispatcher is still on the phone asking if I'm okay. My door is shaking from the woman's pounding, and I think I have nothing left to lose. I unlock the door and open it. Sarah Martinez comes in first, and she's exactly what she looked like through the peephole. Mid-40s, professional but not cold, wearing slacks and a blazer. Behind her come 3 journalists with press badges, 2 people from an organization called Family Justice Alliance, and 1 woman from something called Digital Truth Initiative. They fill my small living room, and Sophie comes downstairs, confused and scared, but drawn by the commotion. I tell the 911 dispatcher that I'm okay and hang up. Sarah takes charge immediately. We have a lot to tell you, and not much time. May I? She gestures to the couch, and I nod. Everyone finds a place to sit or stand. First, let me explain who I am, Sarah says. I'm a family law attorney specializing in cases involving abuse and legal manipulation. I saw your story when it first went viral. Something about it seemed familiar to me. Textbook DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. It's what abusers do when they're called out. They deny wrongdoing, attack the victim's credibility, and then claim they're actually the victim. Your parents did this perfectly. One of the journalists, a woman in her 30s with a recorder, adds, we started noticing the same thing, the PR strategy, the coordinated family response, the legal threats. It seemed organized. Sarah continues. So, I started investigating your family. I have resources and connections. And what I found was shocking. This isn't the first time your parents have done this. Sophie and I look at each other. What do you mean? I ask. Your father had a daughter from his first marriage. A half-sister you probably don't know about. Her name is Jennifer. She's 52 now. 28 years ago, when she was 24, she tried to speak up about how your parents treated her, about favoritism toward their biological children together, about emotional abuse, about being cut off financially when she didn't obey them. Your parents did the same thing to her they're doing to you. They hired lawyers, got a restraining order, turned the extended family against her. They destroyed her credibility. Jennifer ended up estranged from everyone, alone. She moved to Oregon and started over. I didn't know my dad had another daughter, I whisper. They've erased her from the family narrative. But I found her, and she's willing to testify about what they did to her. One of the men from Family Justice Alliance speaks up. We've seen this pattern before in families. It's called scapegoating. One child is designated as the problem, and the rest of the family unites against them to protect the system. You're the scapegoat. Your siblings are the enforcers. Sarah pulls out a folder. But it's not just you and Jennifer. I found something about your sister Patricia. When she was 25, she wanted to marry someone your parents didn't approve of. A musician, not wealthy. Your parents threatened to disinherit her. They used legal threats. They pressured her through the family. She broke up with him. She married the cardiologist 2 years later, someone they approved of. But a friend of Patricia's from college gave me something. She pulls out photocopies of what looks like diary pages. Patricia kept a journal. She gave it to her friend for safekeeping when she was afraid your parents would find it. These pages are from that time. She writes about feeling trapped, about loving someone she can't have, about hating herself for giving in to pressure. She's been their obedient daughter ever since, but she's miserable. I think about Patricia. Perfect Patricia, with her perfect house and perfect doctor husband. She always seemed satisfied with her life. But what if she wasn't? What if she's just as much a victim, except she chose compliance? And your brother Daniel, Sarah says, pulling out more papers. I had a forensic accountant look at some things. Daniel has been embezzling from your parents. Small amounts over years, carefully hidden. About $80,000 total. He's been skimming from their investment accounts. He's terrified they'll find out. That's why he's doing whatever they want, I say, understanding. They have leverage. Exactly. He's not just the golden child, he's the compromised child. If they discover the embezzlement, he could face charges. One of the journalists, a man with gray at his temples, speaks. We've also been investigating the circumstances around the canceled party. We tracked down some of your parents' neighbors, including a family called the Kensingtons. The Kensingtons were supposed to be at the party. Then your parents suddenly changed plans. Mrs. Kensington was confused because your mother had been so excited about the family gathering. When we asked why the change, Mrs. Kensington said something interesting. She said your mother mentioned wanting to make it more sophisticated and adult. We pressed further, and Mrs. Kensington finally admitted that your mother made a comment about Sophie, about her appearance, about not wanting the Kensingtons to think poorly of the family. My stomach turns. They were embarrassed by Sophie, not because of her age, because of her weight, Sarah says gently. Your mother has made comments before, hasn't she? Sophie's face crumbles. I think of all the little remarks over the years. Maybe if you lost a few pounds. That outfit is a bit snug, isn't it? Have you thought about joining a gym? The adults' only excuse was a lie, Sarah says. They excluded Sophie because they were ashamed of her, and they didn't want to look bad in front of people they wanted to impress. Sophie starts crying, and I put my arm around her. But here's what else we found, Sarah says. The complaints against you weren't random, we traced them. Daniel called your principal directly, posing as a concerned brother. We have phone records. Patricia called your landlord and CPS. A cousin named Margaret called the school board. They coordinated this. And we have text messages. She shows me her phone. Screenshots of texts between Daniel, Patricia, and my parents. We need to shut her up. Call her principal. Say you're worried about her stability. If we hit her job and her housing, she'll back down. What about CPS? If they investigate, she'll be too scared to keep fighting. It's all there. The deliberate, coordinated campaign to destroy my life. In writing. How did you get these? I ask. Patricia's old college friend felt guilty. She still has access to some of Patricia's accounts because they used to share passwords years ago. She gave me access when I explained what was happening. It's ethically gray, but it's real. One of the women from Digital Truth Initiative speaks. We want to tell this story. The full story. National coverage. We'll interview Jennifer. We'll use Patricia's journal entries. We'll expose the pattern of abuse and manipulation. We'll show the coordinated attack on you. One of us is from a major morning show. Another is from an investigative podcast with 3 million listeners. This will be huge. Sarah leans forward. Jody, I'm taking your case pro bono. We're filing a countersuit against your parents for malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and defamation for calling you unstable. We're filing complaints about the false CPS report. We're demanding the restraining order be dismissed. And we're going after Daniel for the embezzlement. I can't afford. Pro bono means free. I'm doing this because it's right. And because I'm tired of seeing families use the legal system as a weapon. Sarah makes calls right there in my living room. By 1 a.m, she sent a letter to the school board threatening legal action if they don't reinstate me immediately. It outlines how they violated my rights, how they acted on false information, how they discriminated against me. By 8 a.m, the superintendent calls Sarah directly. They're reinstating me with full back pay. They're issuing a public apology. They're terrified of a lawsuit. By Saturday afternoon, new articles are published. Major news outlets. Family uses legal system to silence daughter who exposed their cruelty. Pattern of abuse. How one family weaponized restraining orders for decades. The podcast episode drops. 3 hours detailing everything, interviewing Jennifer, including the Kensington neighbor's confirmation of why Sophie was really excluded. Public opinion swings dramatically. My original post is shared again with new context. This is even worse than we thought. These parents are monsters. Support floods in. People start sending messages. Stay strong. You're doing the right thing. Your daughter is lucky to have you. Jackson Whitmore, my parents' fancy attorney, drops them. He sends a letter, saying he can no longer represent them. He doesn't want to be associated with the case anymore. Judge Brennan, the judge who granted the restraining order, calls an emergency hearing for Monday morning. Sarah tells me she thinks the judge feels misled and is angry about it. CPS calls. Brenda Harris sounds embarrassed. We're closing the case. After reviewing additional information provided by your attorney, we've determined the report was false and malicious. I'm sorry for the distress this caused. Sophie reads the new articles and for the first time in weeks, she looks hopeful. She takes a shower. She comes downstairs and eats breakfast. She still looks hollow, but there's a spark of life coming back. Monday morning, we go to the emergency court hearing. This time, Sarah is with me. My parents are there with a court-appointed attorney because Whitmore dropped them. They look smaller somehow, less sure of themselves. Judge Brennan is furious. She reviews the new evidence, the text messages showing coordination, Jennifer's testimony about the pattern, the false information in their original filing. I don't appreciate being lied to, Judge Brennan says coldly. This restraining order was granted based on false and misleading statements. It's dismissed immediately. She turns to my parents. You used this court as a weapon to silence your daughter after she exposed your cruelty. You coordinated with family members to destroy her livelihood and reputation. You filed a false CPS report. These actions warrant sanctions. She orders my parents to pay $15,000 in legal fees and court costs. She refers the matter to the district attorney's office for possible criminal charges related to the false CPS report. My parents sit there, looking stunned and small. Sarah and I walk out of the courthouse. Sophie is waiting outside with one of the advocates. She runs up and hugs me, really hugs me, for the first time in weeks. You did it, Mom. You actually won. We're walking to the parking lot when I see him. My father, standing by his car. He's alone. No lawyer. No, my mother. He looks old and shrunken, nothing like the powerful man who's controlled our family for decades. Jody, please. I need to talk to you. Sarah steps forward. Mr. Parker, the restraining order is dismissed, but please, he says. And he's crying. Real tears. His face crumbling. Your mother is in the hospital. She had a heart attack last night from all the stress. The doctors say she might not make it. Please, you have to drop all of this. Just say it was all a misunderstanding. Please, She's your mother. He's desperate, broken. Sophie looks at me, waiting. The journalists who followed us out are watching. Sarah is waiting to see what I do. This is the moment. The moment where I choose mercy or accountability. Where I decide if family trumps everything, or if justice matters more. I tell him I'll go to the hospital, but I'm not dropping anything. Sarah and Sophie come with me. My father leads us to the cardiac unit at St. Mary's Hospital, the same hospital where Trevor died 4 years ago. I haven't been back since, and walking these halls makes my chest tight. We find my mother's room. My father tries to follow us in, but I say no, just me. Sophie and Sarah wait outside. My mother is in the hospital bed, hooked up to monitors. She looks elderly in a way I've never seen before. Without her careful makeup, without her styled hair, without the armor of her expensive clothes, she looks old and afraid. The doctor says it wasn't actually a heart attack, the nurse tells me quietly. It was a severe panic attack with chest pains. Her heart is fine, but her blood pressure spiked dangerously. We're keeping her for observation. So not a heart attack. A panic attack. She's going to be fine. I sit in the chair next to her bed. She looks at me with red-rimmed eyes. I came to tell you something, I say calmly. And I need you to really hear me. She nods, too weak to argue. You've spent my entire life making me feel like I'm not good enough. Like Daniel and Patricia are the real children, and I'm some kind of disappointing afterthought. When Trevor was dying, you came to the hospital once. 20 minutes. When he died and I was drowning in grief and medical bills, you bought Daniel a boat. You forgot Sophie's 16th birthday completely. Jody, I'm not finished. You let Sophie cook for 3 days. You let her spend her own money. You let her believe she mattered to you. And then you excluded her because you were embarrassed by her weight. Because you didn't want your rich neighbors to see her. You weren't embarrassed by her age. You were embarrassed by her. My mother starts crying. Real tears this time. And when I called you out on it, instead of apologizing, you attacked me. You called me unstable. You got me suspended from my job. You filed a false CPS report to try to take my daughter away. You coordinated with Daniel and Patricia to systematically destroy my life. I was scared, she whispers. Of what? Of being the villain. Of everyone thinking I'm a bad person. So, instead of admitting you made a mistake and apologizing, you tried to destroy me to protect your image. She's sobbing now. I've always been so worried about what people think, about maintaining appearances. Daniel and Patricia fit the image I wanted. They're successful. They married well. They look good on Christmas cards. You're a teacher. You're a single mother. You struggle with money. And Sophie is. Is what? She's overweight, and she dresses oddly, and she's so different from what I imagined a granddaughter would be. There it is, the ugly truth. Sophie is kind, and talented, and brilliant, I say. She taught herself to cook from watching videos online. She works hard at a job she doesn't love to save money. She spent 3 days making food for you because she loved you. And you threw that away because of what the Kensingtons might think. My mother nods, crying harder. I know. I'm so ashamed. You should be. Can you forgive me? I don't know. Maybe someday. But not today. Not until you've done the work to actually change. Sophie comes into the room. She must have heard enough from outside. My mother looks at her and cries harder. Sophie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Sophie stands there with her arms crossed. You could have just said you didn't want a party. You could have been honest. But you let me cook for 3 days. You let me spend all my money. You let me believe I mattered to you. And then you said adults only, like I'm a child you're embarrassed by. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You broke something, Sophie says, her voice steady but full of pain. I don't know if you can fix it. I stand up. Here's what's going to happen. I'm not dropping the lawsuit. You and Dad need to face consequences for what you did. You need to make a public apology, a real one that admits what you did and why. You both need therapy, real therapy, for a long time. You need to make amends to Jennifer, to anyone else you've hurt over the years. And we will have no contact until you've done these things and proven you've changed. But you're my daughter, and you treated me like garbage my entire life. You don't get to just say sorry and have us back. You have to rebuild trust. If you do the work, real work, maybe someday we can have a relationship. But it will be on my terms, with boundaries. Take it or leave it. She nods through tears. I'll do whatever it takes. We'll see. I call my father in. I repeat everything to him. He looks destroyed, but he nods. They agree to everything. They don't have a choice. The countersuit proceeds. Over the next 2 months, we negotiate. My parents settle. They pay $25,000 in damages plus all legal fees, totaling almost $40,000. They issue a public apology on Facebook, taking full responsibility. We deeply regret our actions toward our daughter Jody and granddaughter Sophie. We excluded Sophie from a family celebration for shameful reasons related to appearance and image. When Jody called us out on this, instead of apologizing, we attacked her credibility and attempted to destroy her reputation and livelihood. We were wrong. We are seeking help and working to become better people. We understand if Jody and Sophie never forgive us. Daniel is investigated for embezzlement. He cuts a deal with my parents, pays back everything he took plus interest, and avoids jail. But his reputation is destroyed. His real estate business suffers. Several clients drop him when the story comes out. Patricia reaches out to me privately. We meet for coffee, just the two of us. She's thin and tired looking, older than her 40 years. I should have stood up to them, she says. I should have been on your side. I was scared of losing their approval, losing my inheritance, losing my place in the family. I've spent 15 years being who they wanted me to be, and I'm miserable. It's not too late to live your own life, I tell her. I know. I'm in therapy now. I'm actually thinking about divorce. My husband and I haven't been happy in years. I only married him because he checked all their boxes. We're not close, but it's a start. She apologizes to Sophie directly, and Sophie accepts it more readily than she accepts our parents' apologies. 6 months pass. Sophie is thriving. The viral story brought opportunities she never expected. A culinary school in upstate New York saw the articles and offered her early admission with a full scholarship. She deferred to finish her senior year at Roosevelt High. But she's going in the fall. She's in therapy, processing everything that happened. She's regained her confidence, and then some. She started a cooking blog called Sophie's Kitchen Stories that has 14,000 followers. She posts recipes and talks about cooking as therapy, about finding joy after trauma. A stranger in California started a GoFundMe for us. We didn't ask for it, didn't even know about it until someone sent me the link. Help Jody and Sophie rebuild after family betrayal. Complete strangers donated. Teachers I've never met. Parents of kids I've never taught. People who just read the story and wanted to help. It raised $38,000. Enough to cover the months of lost income, Sophie's therapy, my therapy, and her first-year expenses that the scholarship doesn't cover. I cried when I saw it. The kindness of strangers when my own family showed me cruelty. I'm back teaching at Lincoln Middle School. The school board's public apology was awkward but sincere. When I returned, my students had made cards for me. We missed you, Miss Parker. You're the best teacher. Thank you for standing up for your daughter. I cried at my desk reading them. I'm writing a book about the experience, tentatively titled Setting Boundaries with Toxic Family. A publisher is interested. Sarah connected me with her agent. I'm speaking at conferences about family abuse, legal manipulation, and how abusers weaponize systems. I'm using my platform to help others recognize Darvo tactics and stand up for themselves. My parents are in therapy. I've verified it through their therapist, who they gave permission to confirm their attendance. They write me letters. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. They're not pushing for contact, which is good. They're respecting my boundaries. My mother's letters are painful to read. She's unpacking decades of image obsession and control. My father's are more analytical, trying to understand his role in the family dysfunction. I think maybe, eventually, there could be reconciliation. But I'm not in a hurry. Trust is earned slowly, and they destroyed a lot. Jennifer, my half-sister I never knew I had, and I talk on the phone every week. She lives in Portland now, has a good life, a partner she loves. She's grateful to finally have a sister relationship, even if it came late. She tells me stories about what our father was like in his first marriage, the patterns that have repeated. It helps me understand that this wasn't about me. It was never about me. It was about them and their brokenness. It's a Saturday evening in late August. The air has that late summer quality, still warm but with a hint of fall coming. Sophie and I are hosting a small dinner party at our apartment. Just Sophie, me, Sarah Martinez, and 3 friends who stuck by us through everything. Real friends who showed up when it mattered. Sophie is cooking again. She's making herb-roasted chicken with rosemary and lemon, roasted summer vegetables, fresh bread from a recipe she perfected over the summer. The smells fill our small apartment, and it's beautiful. But this time, the cooking is different. She's not desperate for approval. She's not trying to prove her worth. She's cooking because she loves it, because it brings her joy, because she's good at it and she knows it. She moves around the kitchen with confidence, no longer the uncertain girl who needed validation. She's wearing jeans and a t-shirt from her blog, Sophie's Kitchen, that a follower sent her. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun. She's humming to herself. She's happy. We set the table together. No fancy place cards this time, just simple plates and napkins. Sarah arrives first, bringing wine. She's become not just our lawyer, but our friend. She hugs Sophie and tells her the kitchen smells amazing. The other friends arrive, and we sit down together. As we eat, Sophie looks at me across the table. "Mom, I'm glad you didn't back down." "I'm glad too. I'm sorry it was so hard." "You taught me something important though," Sophie says. "You taught me I don't have to accept crumbs of love from people who should give it freely." Sarah raises her glass. To Jody and Sophie. To standing up for yourself even when it costs everything. We all raise our glasses, and I feel something I haven't felt in months. Peace. I think about everything I learned, that standing up for yourself and your children, even when it costs you everything, is worth it. That you teach people how to treat you. That sometimes love means letting go of people who hurt you, even if they're family. That sometimes the only way out is through the pain, not around it. I learned that your children are watching how you handle injustice, and what you model for them becomes their template for their own lives. That when you stand in your truth, the right people will find you. That boundaries aren't walls that keep people out, they're gates you get to control. I look around the table at people who chose to be there, who showed up when we needed them, who believed us when others didn't. This is family too, the one you choose, the one that chooses you back. Sophie serves the food she made with love, and everyone eats together, laughing and talking. We're not talking about the lawsuit or the trauma. We're talking about Sophie's plans for culinary school, about Sarah's new case, about a funny thing that happened at school. Normal things. Good things. For the first time in months, I feel at peace. The fight isn't completely over. My parents are still working on themselves. Daniel is rebuilding his life. Patricia is figuring out who she is, outside of their expectations. But that's their work to do. My work is right here. Raising my daughter, teaching my students, building a life based on authenticity instead of approval. Sophie catches my eye and smiles, really smiles, and I know she's going to be okay. We both are. The year that follows is full of unexpected gifts. Sophie graduates from Roosevelt High School in June with honors. At the graduation ceremony, when her name is called, I scream and cheer so loudly that other parents look at me. I don't care. My daughter is walking across that stage, with her head held high, and I'm so proud I could burst. She heads to culinary school in September. I help her move into her dorm, a tiny room she shares with a girl from Vermont who also loves baking. The morning I leave, Sophie hugs me tight and whispers, "Thank you for teaching me to fight." "You taught yourself that," I tell her. "I just showed you it was allowed." My book gets published in October. Setting Boundaries with Toxic Family. A daughter's story of standing up to abuse hits bookstores and immediately resonates. The reviews are strong. People share their own stories in response. I do a book tour, speaking at libraries and community centers. At every event, someone comes up to me afterward and says, "This was my family too. I thought I was alone." The book makes modest sales, enough that the royalties help pay down Trevor's medical debt. But more than the money, it's the letters I receive. Hundreds of them. People thanking me for putting words to their experience, for validating their pain, for showing them it's okay to walk away from family that hurts you. Jennifer flies out for Thanksgiving. It's just her, Sophie, home from school for the break, and me. We cook together, the 3 of us in my small kitchen. laughing and talking. Jennifer tells stories about our father's first marriage, and I tell stories about growing up with Daniel and Patricia. We piece together a family history that makes sense now, seeing the patterns repeat. He did the same things to my mother that he did to yours, Jennifer says. The control, the image obsession, the favoritism towards certain children. Some people never learn, I say. But some people do, Jennifer says, looking at Sophie. You broke the cycle. Christmas comes. My parents send gifts. Expensive gifts, the kind they always gave. I almost send them back, but Sophie stops me. Let them give gifts, Mom. It doesn't mean we have to have a relationship yet. She's wise beyond her 18 years. I get updates through their therapist. They're doing the work. My mother joined a support group for parents estranged from adult children. My father is reading books about emotional abuse and control. They're trying. It doesn't erase what they did, but it's something. Patricia files for divorce in February. She calls me crying, scared but also relieved. I don't know who I am without him, without their approval. But I want to find out. You will, I tell her. It's hard, but it's worth it. She starts coming to our family dinners when Sophie is home from school. She's softer now, less brittle. She apologizes to Sophie again, more thoroughly this time, and Sophie forgives her. Aunt Patricia was a victim too, Sophie tells me later. Just in a different way. Daniel doesn't reach out. I hear through Patricia that he's struggling. His business never recovered. His wife left him. He's living in a smaller house, working to rebuild. I don't feel satisfaction at his downfall, but I don't feel sorry for him either. He made choices. Now he lives with them. Spring comes. Sarah calls me with news. Your parents want to meet. They're asking if you and Sophie would consider family therapy with them. Just an initial session to see if it's possible. I talk to Sophie. She's hesitant but willing. I don't know if I can forgive them, she says. But maybe I can understand them. We agree to one session, just one, to see. The therapy session is in a neutral office, with a family therapist named Dr. Ellis. My parents look older, smaller. My mother's hair has more gray. My father has lost weight. They sit across from Sophie and me, and for a long moment, nobody speaks. Dr. Ellis guides the conversation. My parents apologize, really apologize, taking full responsibility without excuses. My mother cries, explaining her obsession with image, how she projected her own insecurities onto Sophie. My father talks about control, about how he was raised by a harsh father and repeated patterns without questioning them. I hurt Jennifer the same way, he says. I've reached out to apologize to her too. I know, I say. She told me. Sophie speaks, her voice steady. I don't know if we can be a family again, but maybe we can be people who know each other and don't hurt each other anymore. That's all we're asking for, my mother says. A chance to prove we've changed. We agree to more sessions. Slowly, carefully, with boundaries firmly in place. I don't know if we'll ever have a good relationship, but maybe we can have an honest one. By summer, Sophie's blog has grown to 32,000 followers. Companies are reaching out for sponsorships. She's cooking for the joy of it and building something beautiful in the process. She comes home for summer break, glowing with confidence and stories. One evening, we're in the kitchen together. She's teaching me a new recipe she learned at school, a complicated French technique I'd never attempt alone. We work side by side, and she corrects my knife, work gently. You know what I realized? She says. What? That whole terrible year when everything fell apart? It was the best thing that ever happened to us. How do you figure? Because we learned who we are. We learned we're stronger than we thought. We learned the difference between people who love us and people who want to control us. We learned to set boundaries. Most people never learn that. I look at my daughter, this wise, strong, talented young woman, and I feel overwhelmed with love. You're right, I say. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but I'm glad we went through it. Me too. We finish cooking and sit down to eat. Just the two of us. It's simple and perfect. I think about everything we've learned, everything we've survived. The pain was real. The betrayal cut deep. The injustice was profound. But we came through it, not unscathed, but stronger. We learned that family isn't just who you're born to. It's who shows up, it's who stays. It's who fights for you and with you. We learned that protecting your children sometimes means burning bridges with your parents. That standing in your truth is terrifying but necessary. That the right people will believe you, support you, stand with you. That healing takes time, but it's possible. Most importantly, we learned that you teach your children how to be treated by how you allow yourself to be treated. By standing up, even when it cost me my job and my reputation and my family relationships, I taught Sophie that she's worth fighting for, that she doesn't have to accept crumbs, that her voice matters, and that lesson is worth everything. Sophie and I clean up together, talking about her plans for the next semester, laughing about something silly, normal mother-daughter stuff, the kind of relationship I always wanted with my own mother but never had. I'm giving Sophie what I didn't get, and breaking the cycle feels like victory. Later that night, after Sophie goes to bed, I sit on my small balcony with a cup of tea. I think about the journey from that terrible afternoon when the text message arrived to now. The pain, the fear, the uncertainty, the moment I almost gave up, the moment I decided to fight instead. I think about the door shaking that Friday night, the pounding that brought Sarah and the journalists and the beginning of hope. I think about all the people who showed up for us. Sarah, Jennifer, the advocates, the strangers who donated, the students who made cards, the readers who shared their stories. I think about my parents, working on themselves in therapy, trying to become people capable of real love instead of conditional approval. I don't know if they'll succeed, but I hope they do. Not for me, but for them. Because living the way they lived, obsessed with image and control, is no way to live at all. The future is uncertain. Sophie will graduate from culinary school and build a career. I'll keep teaching, keep writing, keep speaking. Maybe my parents will change enough for us to have a real relationship. Maybe Patricia will find herself. Maybe Daniel will learn something from his losses. But regardless of what happens with them, Sophie and I are okay. Better than okay. We're building a life based on authenticity, boundaries, and real love. The kind of love that doesn't demand performance or perfection. The kind that says, I see you, I value you, I choose you. And that's everything. So here's what I want to ask you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who hurt you? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting yourself or your children? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with the same decision. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps other people find it who might need to hear it. And if you want to hear more stories about standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and finding your strength, subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone in dealing with difficult family dynamics. Thank you for listening to our story. Thank you for being here. I hope Sophie's courage and our journey inspire you to stand in your own truth, whatever that looks like for you. Remember, you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, even by family, especially by family. And if they can't give you that, it's okay to walk away and build your own family from the people who truly see your worth. Take care of yourselves, set those boundaries, and know that you're stronger than you think.